Hi, thank you for joining me for the Beach Music Top 40 Countdown. Our guest today is Bobby Tomlinson, one of the original founders of The Embers, and he's with us right now. Bobby, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Wilson, North Carolina, and my family moved to Goldsboro, North Carolina when I was an infant. And I grew up. I lived there 15 years, and I learned to play drums in the William Street Elementary School band in the fifth grade. I was 10 years old. Played in the school band. My band director was John Thompson. He was actually sort of my mentor. And I played. He taught me to play a drum set, and we had a little swing band because there wasn't anything like this kind of music back then. We played Benny Goodman and Tommy Dorsey and all that. And then my father got a new job in Raleigh, so we moved here in 1955. I went to Hugh Morrison Junior High and met Jackie Gore. We started. I was 15. He's 18 months younger than I am. We started playing in the lunchroom, and in the cafeteria they had a set of drums and a piano. And we started playing around on the weekends with a little group we call ourselves the Satellites. And then when we got to high school, we hooked up with a guy named Blair Ellis, who was 1 year ahead of me in high school. And when we started the Embers in 1958, 59, when we graduated, he'd already graduated going to NC State, Kappa Sig, and then we had 5 members in high school, but we weren't the Embers yet. When we graduated, 2 of the guys one of them went away to college to play clarinet at Cincinnati Conservatory for Music, and the bass player went into the Air Force, so it only left 3 of us. So we hired a black sax player named Doug Harrison. We looked around to try to get a name on a billboard at a country club or anywhere. And I had a copy of an old record called Embers Records out of New York City. And they wrote the name with Logs and Fire. And we just sort of copied it. And they'd since gone out of business. And I have we have the trademark on the name. And we've been in existence since 1950. We've been this year will make 63 years. Going on 63 years. So I haven't played in a couple of years. I had knee surgery, and I hired Wayne Free, who used to sing lead with us, to play drums, and he was doing such a good job. I decided that if I did go back, how much longer was I going to play?
Do you play any other instruments besides the drums?
The radio.
do you sing?
Well, I used to sing. When we started out, there was only 4 of us, and we actually didn't have a whole lot of equipment. We didn't have a whole lot of money. We were just playing around. And we the piano player and myself and the sax player stood up and sang and we'd lean into one mic. See, when we started playing, you have to realize there was no beach music. It wasn't anything. There was country music and rhythm and blues, and there's some other kinds. But we did not like country music. We didn't like this rockabilly music. We liked we liked the black music. So we started playing it, and our keyboard player was in with a good crowd. So we started playing all the debutante parties. We started playing down at Atlantic Beach at the Pavilion in the early 50s. There's a lot of stories about that. But we played there from the early 50s. Our main place was Eastern North Carolina. Our keyboard player, like I said, was a Kappa Sig, so we played every Kappa Sig fraternity on the East Coast. Probably we played all of them down the coast. We played all down in Alabama and everywhere. All the Kappa Sigs, because one of their brothers was in a band. I hate to think what it would be like now with the internet.
What do you write music?
No, I'm never. I've always been a drummer and I've been the manager and leader ever since we started. In the beginning, the piano player myself, Blair Ellis, we actually shared the responsibility. He only played 4 years, and when he graduated from college, he left and went to Texas and went to work for Texaco Oil Company. and he retired there. I mean, that's where he retired from work there, but he lives down at Litchfield Beach now.
So what would you consider your most successful song?
I love beach music. Next would probably be Faraway Places. Cool Me Out.
Yeah, they're all great songs. When did Craig Willard start?
Three of the guys leave in 1976. Actually, I don't know, Durwood Martin and Big John Thompson. You probably heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing with us, and a guy named Buck Keener. All three of them left to start another band. But Craig Willard was in a band with Gerald Davis. We hired all three of them and practiced a week and went back out and never missed a beat. But Craig was here for almost 30 years, and then he left for 10, came back about 5 years ago.
Well, can you name a few famous bands or artists that you've had the honor to play with over the years?
We opened for Rolling Stones at Reynolds Coliseum. We played with the Beach Boys, played with them at least 4 or 5 times. I played with Dave Clark 5, and we played with the Temptations, the Four Tops, Intruder. I could name probably 100. And I had opened Embers Club in 1965 in downtown Raleigh. And we had started using entertainment, Jackie Wilson, all kinds of Clarence Frogman Hendry, Rufus Thomas, the Shirelles. I could name them from around, but we played with everybody. In the the first job in 1959, I went to a club out in Raleigh. It was a country western club, and I talked to the guy. We put our band in there on Wednesday nights, and we took it for the door. And we started out slow, took in about $60 the first night, and within 4 weeks we were having 400 people. In 1968, we opened a club at Atlantic Beach called the Embers Beach Club, and that's about the time. I'm not saying we were responsible, but that's about the time I first heard anybody call this music beach music. It's around the early 60s. I mean, in the 40s and 50s, you got to understand that they wouldn't play black music on the right radio stations. Mm-hmm. But the major record companies like Atlantic and Roulette and Chess, they would put their records on jukeboxes in black nightclubs and black bars and stuff. And the same jukebox owners were putting them on jukeboxes in places like Atlantic Beach and Carolina Beach and Myrtle Beach, and exposed the white crowd to that music. When we started doing this music, we were the only white band doing it. I mean, most of the white bands were country bands. And we were 4 white boys around 17, 18 years old playing rhythm and blues. And the crowd loved it.
So have you been featured in any TV shows or movies?
There was a song that movie called Shag, I think. I can't remember the name of it. Mm-hmm. They filmed it in Myrtle Beach, and they approached us about putting I Love Beach music in it, but Jackie wanted too much money, so they didn't use it. That's the one they had. Otis Day and the Nights, that Shout was in that movie. We had a contract with Anheuser-Busch for 10 years in the early, started around 80. We did the song I Love Beach Music and did I Love Budweiser, which is a story behind all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I'm actually working on a book about my 60 years in the band. There'll be a lot of stuff in there.
Tell me a little bit more about the commercial you did for Budweiser.
It goes back to we were playing at Atlantic Beach at the Emerald Isle Beach Festival in the late 70s. Right, we recorded I Love Beach Music in 79, and somewhere around that time we were playing a big concert at Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and man, there was 20,000 people there, and people were all down around the stage and drinking Budweiser. Somebody handed Jackie a Budweiser beer out of the crowd, and he held it up and said, "I love Budweiser," and it stuck. So we started singing it in the song, and then we played it. We were playing it at Myrtle Beach at the Landmark, and the Budweiser distributed on there is Better Brands. It belonged to a guy, an Italian guy named Spud Spadoni. Can you believe that? Hmm. And he had a son that was a guy. He loved us to death. He came to see us all the time. We played 10 weeks every summer at that hotel, and his son was there, and he told his daddy about us and told us about doing it. So his daddy came down and talked to us about doing a Budweiser commercial. So we did it, and we didn't know what we were doing. We did a 60-second commercial, and we did "I Love Budweiser, King of the Beers. Ain't no other beer in the whole wide world gives me such a thrill." We sent it to St. Louis, and they called back and said that we were too local. They weren't interested. So I told the guys, I said, let's keep doing it. We'll do it at all these concerts. So we were getting people coming up, Budweiser distributors wanting to know where they could get the commercial. So I would tell them to call St. Louis. Well, they called St. Louis so many times, they called me back and wanted to know if we could do that commercial. And I said, well, when you want to do it? And they said, when can you do it? I said, we were playing at the time. We were going to get ready to play a week up in right outside Winston-Salem. And we drove over to Charlotte on a day off. And they sent a guy from St. Louis, an A&R man, and they had us do "This Bud's for You" and "I Love Budweiser." And so we did the commercials, and we were there all day. And I had picked the guy up at the airport and took him over there, and we finished. We were on the way. I was taking him back while the guys were getting their stuff packed up. And he said, that stuff's good. And he said, if August likes it, they'll play it. He said, it's all up to him. Nothing plays he doesn't like. And he told me, he said, man, you guys are pretty good. He said, I thought I was going to be dealing with a bunch of rednecks. And I said, you were playing. We were all rednecks. Some of us are just higher on the food chain. 2 weeks later, he called me and said, August loves it, and they're going to play it on contemporary and sports shows. And I took that to mean in North Carolina. Well, about 2 weeks later, I got a friend of mine called me from Los Angeles. He said, man, I'm in Dodger Stadium, and I just heard a commercial on the intercom. It said, I love Budweiser. I said, really? He said, was that y'all? I said, it has to be. It turned out they played it all over the United States.
And that probably helped promote the band and beach music, too.
Oh, man, it made us, people look at us in a different light. And we didn't have any idea what it was going to entail, but we were doing about $100,000 a year in royalties from playing it. They played $25 every time they played on the radio.
Wow, cool.
And that went on for 4 years, and they changed their ad. We also did a thing for the state of North Carolina, and they made us, which we are to this day, we're North Carolina's official musical ambassadors. We've been very fortunate, very blessed.
So tell us about some of the awards that the Embers have won over the years.
Well, we've won a lot of Cammy awards, and as a matter of fact, we've been awarded the Order of the Longleaf Pine, which is something the governor of North Carolina gives out. Been awarded that. I can't even really think about it. Like I said, we've been so blessed and lucky that we've seen. It seems like we've made all the right moves, and we've tried to keep a good image, and it goes back to do unto others you have him do unto you. Can't say something good about somebody, don't say anything.
All right, I got a couple more quick questions, then I'll let you go. Can you share anything funny that may have happened with you guys while you're on the road?
I remember we had Junior Walking All-Stars at Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. They went to Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. We used to do some crazy things, I'm telling you. We were playing with a concert in Richmond, Virginia, and we were playing with chairman of the board. The back of the stage had a ramp to walk down, and it was steep. And I had on leather shoes, and Norman Johnson or General Johnson, all these guys standing at the bottom of the ramp. And I was walking down real cool, and all of a sudden my feet went out, and I landed flat on my butt. And he was laughing his tail off. I said, what goes around comes around. and I remember one time we were playing up in Stewart, and Jackie's a nut anyway, but Norman, I call him Norman. His name is not General Norman Johnson, but I knew him when he played with the Showman. But he was standing there and he was real cool, and Jackie runs up behind him, and you know how you put some on your shoulders and run and walk with them. Mm-hmm. He got Norman up there and was running around, and Norman was screaming, "Let me down, you crazy son of a..." Yeah, we've done some crazy things. I can't think of anything right now that would set you on fire, though.
Can you give any advice to anyone just starting out in the business?
Stick to your guns. Play what you want, but remember, don't play for yourself. Play for the crowd, because you can't play music. You got to do music that people want to hear, and it's got to be danceable. I mean, over the past we've learned songs sometimes that we really liked, and they were duds. People just didn't like to dance to them, didn't. So we spent all this time learning them and couldn't even take them right out of the repertoire. But you gotta keep your nose clean.
Well, do you have a web page or a Facebook page that people can go to?
Embersband.net or .com, either one.
And that's Bobby Tomlinson, one of the original founders of the Embers, here on the Beach Music Top 40 Countdown. Thank you for listening, and tell your friends about SOS Radio with 58 minutes each hour of nonstop music 24 hours a day.